Hello, I'm Piaget Jenkins. Today we'd like to review the Workspace Analysis function for RES Workspace Manager 2011. The Workspace Analysis node is a general source of information regarding your users and can be used to gather the information about the settings that have been applied to your users during logon. Now, to navigate to the Workspace Analysis, we simply go to the Diagnostics button here, and we click there, and then we can see Workspace Analysis. Now, before we take a look at our users, the first thing we want to do is configure our search. So the first thing you see right up here is directory service. So if you have any directory service configured, you can choose between those different services. For my demonstration, I only have demo.com, which is our single domain that is configured here. So it's only going to show that one. And within that directory service, you can choose any additional mount point you want to search in, say if you have a large AD or any other type of directory service. Right down here, you have filter, and let me zoom in for you. So you can filter based on application managers, technical managers, certain types of attention such as flagged users, disabled users, anyone who's locked out, which is really good. If you get a call from a locked out user, for example, you don't have to kind of search through that. You can just see who's locked out and just unlock everyone if need be. And then right after that, we have our actual search. So you can type in your search, or if you have nothing to type in or no filters configured, you can go ahead and just click the search button here, and it's going to show you all of your users there. Now, just to apply a filter, for example, we can just put only show administrators, click search, all administrators are going to be shown. So let's go back up and take off the filter, and let's take a look at everyone here. Now that we have our users, you can see that we have all our users listed here. These guys look normal. That's because they are normal. There's no special attention needed. They're not flagged. Anyone that's kind of grayed out in this sense pretty much means that this user is disabled. And then right below them, you might have any users that have a flag there, which means that special attention is required. So basically, it could be that this user is locked out, or maybe they cannot change their password, things like that. If you actually flip over to the Properties tab here, you can configure those attentions here, those specific triggers. So for example, I have if the user cannot change their password or if the user is locked out, that's when I will receive an attention flag on a specific user. You can also select if user is disabled, for example, and then we click Apply, or any of the other options. Right down here, you're going to see number of event logs to keep. Right now I have that set to 4, and basically that's just going to be the number of logs that we're going to store within a database for your different users, and we'll get to that in just a moment. So let's flip back to analysis over here, and once we're here, you might notice that some of this information is missing. If you actually select a user and you right click, a context menu is going to pop out, and that gives you a few more options. Now if you click Audit, it's going to fill in that information there, so you can definitely see all the different information for the user in terms of their ability to change their password, expiration, administrator, they're locked out, disabled, and so on. Back to the context menu, you can also refresh, and then you can also copy the information to your clipboard and create an instant report like usual. Instant report can also be created down here. Now, once on the context menu, once again, you can click Analyze, but if you have a user selected, there's also Analyze button right down here. Now, one thing you may notice is that the workspace analysis of this user looks very similar to the management console itself. The difference is that everything that's displayed here, all the information is related particularly to this specific user, Ab Johnson. So just to go down a list here, I'll show you how these relations occur. If we start at location of devices, these are any particular zones that the user has access to. So we can see that A. Johnson has access to the Windows 7 zone as well as the client operating systems. If we jump down to account properties, we can see just a general overview once again of the user information. Particularly, you can see their last logon and as well as any group memberships that they have, which I think is very useful. If you go to Workspace Containers, you can see any Workspace containers from which they've logged into, and that's available to them. If you recall, once again, workspace containers are groups of agents. Next, we'll jump down to the composition node here, and let's expand this, and then we'll have manage applications. So basically, these are just the managed applications the user has access to. And then right down here, we have file types. Same rule there, just file types that they have access to. Email settings, you'll see a list of any Exchange templates or any type of other email setting has been configured for which a user will have access to or will be applied during their session. Same thing for data sources, if there's any data sources they have access to. Jump down to files and folders, we have drive and port mappings, and you can see the types of drives that the user has access to and their actions, which is kind of important so you can kind of see and help troubleshoot what's going on for a particular user. Same thing here with the drive substitutes if available. Folder synchronization, any synchronizations that are available to this user. Same thing with home directory, and the same thing with user profile directory. Anything that's available to that specific user. We looked at printers. There are none configured at the moment, but if the user has any printers that are available to them, they will be shown here, as well as any defaults associated with those printers. You can also see user settings, which is basically any user settings a user will receive upon the launch of their session or upon the launch of a specific application that's allowed for them. If you double click on one of the user settings, you can also see that you can edit them here, which is nice as well. If we continue down to other, we have user registry, which is basically the same as user settings. You can also edit them as well, and these are just the registry settings that the user will receive upon the launch of their session. Execute command is the same idea. Any commands that will be executed at a specific time you can see here for this user. Automation task is if available. We'll jump into that a bit later on. And environment variables. You can see any variables that will be set in the user session at the beginning of their session. Okay, moving on, we drop down to security here and we come to manage applications. So if application security is turned on, any infractions by the user in which they try to access an unauthorized application or executable will be shown here within a log, as well as any user stalled applications that they might have. And same thing with website security. If you have anything configured there to which you're not supposed to access, and then you can see the website, the computer, session, all the information there. If we continue on to data, we have removable disks, and we can see the access control and which types of removable disks they have access to, which right now include floppy disks, optical drives, and as well as removable disks. And you can see that log anytime they access those removable disks, that will be shown there. We drop down to file and folder security. If that is turned on, you can see any type of unauthorized file or folder that the user tried to gain access to. The log will be triggered here, as well as read-only blanketing if they try to get to any specific locations or files. As you can see here, we do have this there, and the log is available. We can see the process, we can see the time, we can see the file, the computer, lots of different information there for a specific user. If we proceed to network connections, same there. Any information that the user would have infringed upon would be listed here, and same for user sessions. If they had tried to access any number of sessions over what was allowed by you, the administrator, that will be shown here as well. Now if we proceed to diagnostics, I think this is where it gets a little bit more interesting. Right here we can see the user session. So basically this is any session that the user has running currently, and if you were to select a session and right click, you will receive a context menu with a lot of different options. So the first one up, we have refresh. You can refresh it to see if there's any additional sessions that the user might have, or if there were any disconnects. You can see what's left here. You can view your user settings by clicking there. It gives you a good overview of all the different information from the TS client to the TS client IP, the computer, and the computer IP. Those are good to know. We come back here once again. You can restore the user settings if you would like, or you can force a refresh of their session as well, which is pretty nice. Once again, down here you can ping the user's workstation so you can see if they are available or not. You can offer remote assistance as well. You can even send a message, and you can log off the user. You can also reset or disconnect the user depending on the type of session you have going. If that is not available, then it will be grayed out as it is here. As usual, we can also create an incident report as well. We drop down one more. You have the Workspace model overview. If you will recall, you can see all the items that are turned on or turned off, which are specific to this user once again. And then if we drop down once again, we have the event log, which I think is very useful, especially if you're troubleshooting or you call into RAS software support. They might ask you for the event log one day, and the event log gives you a good idea of what happens from the very moment the user logs into their session to the end of that session. So you can see exactly what the Workspace Manager is doing and the Workspace Composer, how the session is being composed according to the timestamp and according to the function, which is really nice. So if we just scroll through this briefly, you can see that it detects the type of a session, the computer ID, sets the environment variables, sets the home drive. You can see the audit here if it's okay or if there's a problem. You can check the licensing as well, user settings sampling, user settings once again, what's enabled or disabled for this user, things like that. Now what you see here on the left, again, once again, we have 4 different logs that are available, and if you recall, that's the number that we configured back in the properties of diagnostics, so how many logs we want to keep per user. So we have selected a number 4, that's why we have 4 here. So if we continue on, we have usage tracking, and if you want to use that and it's enabled, you can double click there to view that, but that's actually for another video, so we'll return to that another time. And if there's any delegated access control, which is none this time around, you can see there as well. We drop down again, we have performance, and we come to access balancing. If there's any information available there, you can see the computer, the logon duration, and etc. Once again, any CPU optimization infractions will be listed here. And so log off information will also be listed here in terms of the process and the registry key, anything else left open, anything that Workspace Manager actually touched during the log off, and the process of the instant log off will be shown. And we also have memory optimization as well, so any infractions that are there, the log will be shown here for the user. And that pretty much does it for Workspace Analysis. Once again, thanks for viewing. This has been Workspace Analysis for RES Workspace Manager 2011.